Hi, I'm Frank from Appolson Performance Center. Today we're going to do Yamaha Summerization on Watercraft 4-stroke. And the first thing we're going to talk about is our battery and the reasons why it is so important. We want it fully charged and fully state of health. And what we will do, and what we'll show is where our battery is at 12.8. We know it has 240 cranking amps. Our battery is showing that it has 322 in reserve. Our state of charge is 100% and our state of health is 100%. So this battery is ready to install. A couple of key points on installation in batteries. Breather hose. The reason for this breather hose, and most people don't hook them up when they do it themselves, is if this acid were to spill, we want it to slowly vaporize out, because inside this we have fuel, we have a spark, now we got more caustic energy in this boat to possibly cause a fire. So it's really important to hook this up. Not hard, very simple. Put it on, squeeze your clamp, and she's secure. Next, we'll slide her down in. We want to make sure our battery's secure, so always put your straps on. The biggest thing you want to know about batteries is always hook up the positive first. The reason for that, if the positive hooks up, the negative's not even hooked up, so even if you hit something metal, nothing will spark. So that's why we always hook up the positive first. And what I will do is I'll just take the screwdriver, get her secure, and then I will take a 10 mil and I'll make sure that it is tight. Because these tend to be rough water and everything, they will loosen up and you can have problems with your watercraft. The other thing you want to do is make sure it's covered. Again, we don't want something hitting this with metal that could possibly cause a spark. So we cover it, make sure it's good. The same will go for our negative. You always want to make sure you don't cross thread them, because once they're cross threaded, they're very difficult to get out. Put our 10 mil on, hold our wire, give it a little good torque, it's on there, and then cover. Now we'll go on to running the motor. Now we're going to fire up the watercraft. Two things we want to check. Want to make sure we have oil. And make sure nothing's hanging loose or anything that could get in the way of the motor hanging or dealing. And also we want to look in the rear. We want to look in the rear of the boat, look at the nozzle, and inspect the prop, because sometimes over the summer or over the winter, little critters crawl in there, they make nests, or birds make nests, and you definitely want to check that out before you fire it up. On the Yamahas, on the newer ones, in their rear, they have a hookup, but all Yamahas, the older Yamahas, just had them inside the watercraft. And we'll just have a simple hose. It just pushes in, turns, and it's locked in. There's an order of sequence when you're firing up the watercraft. It's always start the boat, then the water, let her run. We usually let her run 5 to 10 minutes. When we're done, we shut the water off, wait a couple moments, then turn the boat off. But it always has to be in that sequence. We don't want to hydrolock the motor. All right, let's fire her up. Fire up her craft. Put her lanyard in. Get her running, and then we'll turn our water on. So once we see good flow from the water coming out, we know that the pump's working. We'll see our return for our overflow. That's on, that's good. So we'll start looking at her, listening to her motor as she's running. On the supercharged Yamas, what I'm usually going to go listen to is the bearing spinning on the supercharged, just to make sure you hear them spin when she slows back down. Just want to hear that so you know you got that good sound. When we're doing our summarizations, we'll do a checklist. As you can see, we'll go down of each one of these. So we know what our battery was. We saw the fluid was okay. The state of charge, 100%. The health was 100%. It's just our basic PDI sheet for the customers for the summer. This one won't have one, so I'll cross off that. We installed, we hooked her up. We do a good look over of make sure the clamps and everything, because the season can be hard. We inspected nozzle and the prop for damage, and then we'll pressure wash the exterior, and then we'll also look at spark plugs. The biggest thing on here, and why it's highlighted, is installing your drain plugs. A lot of times customers forget to put them in. They'll back that in the water that first time, and water will get inside. And then we'll do our trailer inspection. All right, it's been running. Now we're gonna shut her down. And as you remember, I said, first we're gonna turn the water off. We'll let it run for just a couple moments. We'll give her a couple shots. And then we'll shut her down. That'll complete that portion of the motor. The next portion is what we'll do, is we're going to steam clean the interior of this, because when we fogged it, we have a nice sheen on this of WD-40 all over the interior, so we want to get that off and get this cleaned up for the customer. All right, to wrap up our summarization, there's some customers, or not so much customers, but people don't believe that what we're doing, winterizing, summarizing, is really that important. But I can tell you there was a 95 here yesterday, a two-stroke Yamaha, that was so clean we could put it in the showroom just because of maintenance. Taking this and summarizing and winterizing and putting that WD-40 will keep the water off the motor, keep it what WD stands for, water disbursement, and keeps them clean throughout the winter when there's moisture, warm, cold, warm, cold. The final thing, and we always make sure, and you should make sure, is putting your plugs in. Every craft looks a little different, but you definitely want to make sure that they're installed, because that first time that you go in the water and you forget these, I can guarantee you it's an experience that you don't want to have. I hope this has been helpful. We'll see you on our next Tet for Tuesdays. Thanks for coming.